Hello, entrepreneur. We're still talking money management. And you cannot talk money management without understanding and knowing where your break even point is. That break even point begins even in your personal. If you do not know exactly how much it takes to maintain and run your household, you'll never make good decisions. I always talk to my clients and start by figuring out when they tell me, oh, I got my budget under control, or I know about how much it costs, or I understand. I start with by asking them and getting an understanding as it relates to their personal. You should know exactly how much it costs to maintain your home. It's a good way to decide whenever you're looking at a new position. You know, there are still entrepreneurs who are out here making it happen and they are still working a job. Number one, if nothing else, for insurance purposes. So you should always know exactly how much it costs for your household to run, even down to gas, groceries, the whole nine. You may not know exactly the groceries, but you can definitely come real close because of course price changes. But you know what you buy, you know what it costs to maintain your home. And then when you look at that, and I have a chart that I always share with them so that you can break down exactly what you can expect based on, whatever the offer is whenever you're getting a job. In that same manner, if your household, you must know your break-even point in your business. That's why we talked about, I think I mentioned in one of the videos about there's different types of costs. There are costs that you must have in order to do the business, and then there are overhead costs. Overhead costs generally are things that you can control. In other words, if you have a building, then your overhead is rent and utilities. Now, you can't control rent because usually you're locked into a contract and you know how much it's going to cost. But the other costs associated with it, like maintaining your utilities, if you have to pay separate utilities, sometimes the commercial buildings will include the utilities, or making sure like whether you have an extra phone line or whether or not you have cable, if you have TV, like if it's a barber shop or a beauty shop. So then those overhead costs are things that you can kind of fluctuate on and you may have to cut back on depending on how well you're doing financially. You cannot talk about business without talking about money management. And if you don't manage your personal finances, the same habits, the same ideas, the same thoughts will filter into your business. And you want to make sure too that when you go into business that you're very clear and you understand. Let's just say that you're looking to walk off your job, because a lot of people do that too. They're like, okay, I started this business, now I'm ready to step out on faith. But let me be clear. Stepping out on faith does not mean stepping out into the unknown or without strategy. It is still a faith walk because, honey, trust me, just because you have a business, just because you have a good idea does not mean it's going to thrive. That doesn't mean you don't have to have strategy and thought process and that you don't plan. In fact, that's the total opposite. So whenever you're doing, you want to make sure that you know how much you need to make personally to make sure your bills are paid, and then you got to know how much it takes to maintain that business, because if you're spending all of the money as you make it, you're not going to have a business for very long. That's why we have to keep these talks on money management. What's your break-even point? It's been your girl, the Queen Bee of Doing Business Better, saying I want to see you do business better. Bye-bye.